Pedigree is this diagram that we see here. It has got a number of circles and squares. Some of those are filled in, and there's all these lines. What is this showing? As you can see from the key here, let's get rid of that circle. As you can see from the key here, the males are always going to be represented by squares and females by circles. And if they are affected by the trait that we're studying, so their phenotype, if they have the trait we're studying, their symbol gets filled in. Okay, and if they don't have the trait, then it's not filled in. Okay, and so note that the affected does not tell us right off of the bat whether the trait is recessive, like most genetic disease are, or they can be dominant. We think of things like having six fingers being dominant. Also, say you're studying freckles. Freckles is dominant. So those the affected just is those who have the trait, not whether they're dominant or recessive. Okay, and so we can see through these numbers over here, we have three generations. There's individuals. Sometimes we number them as we go across so that we can refer to each individual. So this would be generation 2, individual 4. That's the kind of thing that we're looking at. Okay, and so we can begin figuring out genotype. So how would we do that? So if we look at the trait here, we're just going to say big A is dominant and little a is recessive. What's known? Okay, so we'd often start with what's known. Well, if we know the allele is recessive, you're told this, we can interpret this pedigree. Okay, we know that affected alleles, if it's recessive, I should say affected individuals, if the allele is recessive, will be homozygous recessive. They must have two little a's. So we can begin right off the bat. We know what those two individuals are, right? And every individual who's not affected must have a dominant, okay? They could be homozygous dominant. They could be heterozygous. At this point, we don't know, so they all get one big A. And we'll have to figure out if we can, if there's enough information, what the second allele is, okay? So some of these individuals we know. So this mother right here, we know she's the mother because it's a circle. And she's got a little a, homozygous recessive. She will always pass on a little a to every one of her kids. So all four of her kids must have a little a. Since all four are unaffected, they must also have the big A, which they must have got from their father, okay? So we know that each of those four children in generation 2 are carriers. They do not have the trait, but they do carry an allele for it. They're heterozygous. That's the definition of carrier. Okay. What does that tell us about the father of generation 1? Is he homozygous dominant or is he heterozygous? Well, since he gave a big allele to each one of his kids, it's most likely that he's homozygous dominant. He always gave a big A. But it is technically possible that he is a little a. In fact, there's a 1/6 possibility, 1/16th possibility that he could be big A, little a, and have always passed on the big A. So we might put a blank here. We're pretty sure he's big A, but not 100% sure, okay? The same thing will actually end up applying to the daughters in generation 3. We're not sure. They could get a big A from either parent, and we know at least one of the parents could pass on a little a. But we do know who this husband who married in. We do know that he is big A, little a. How do we know that? Well, he has a son who's little a, and that son, this one right here, must have gotten a little a from both parents. Okay, so I should have made a note at the beginning. When you see a line connecting two people directly between them, that means that they did have offspring, and so that line refers to a mating. And notice that with siblings, you don't connect them directly with the line between them. That would mean the siblings have mated. No, that's not good. Okay, so we use a line above them So these 4 are siblings, these 3 are siblings. So, and they're usually listed from oldest to youngest. What about determining patterns? Is it dominant or recessive, or is it autosomal or X-linked? All right, so let's start with this pedigree right here. This is showing an autosomal recessive. So again, we just use these symbols up here. And so what's it doing? Well, how would we know from this pedigree looking at it? What patterns are we looking at here that tell us that it's recessive? Right? The main pattern for any recessive allele, autosomal or X-linked, is that we see the old phrase skip a generation. Okay, so we look at this portion of the pedigree right here. We notice that number 17 has the trait. So what if this were dominant? Would this work? The answer is no. How do we know? If an individual is dominant, okay, so if 17 had the trait and the trait was dominant, who did he get the big A from? We couldn't have gotten it from either parents, otherwise their circle or square would have been filled in. So no, that can't work. This cannot 17 cannot have a dominant allele. It just doesn't work. So this is the pattern. Okay, 2 parents are unaffected. So if you need to get that in your notes, 2 parents are unaffected, and they have a child who is affected, then the allele must be recessive, right? How does that work? He's little a, little a. Both parents are dominant phenotype, so they have a big A, but they must be carriers, okay? Because they each gave a little a to their youngest son, okay? And so that's what we're looking for. 2 parents unaffected have a child who is unaffected, all right? The definitive factor that something is autosomal dominant, we can see down here, okay? What does this mean? This is definitive because here you have 2 parents who are affected and they have a child who is not, okay? So imagine that this affected trait were recessive, okay? So imagine it were recessive. If it were recessive, both of these parents would be little a, and they can only have children who are little a, recessive and affected. So that is not correct. It doesn't work because they had a child who was unaffected, right? What's the pattern here? Okay, it is dominant. Okay, and in this case, both parents are carriers, meaning that they gave a little a to person 7, and they each of these children got a big A. We again don't know if their second allele is dominant or recessive at this point. There's not enough information at the top. Okay, so that's another characteristic of dominant. Okay, and so there you go. So this one, what are we looking for with dominant? Affected parents have an unaffected offspring. Okay. The other thing, of course, is you don't see the skipping of a generation. If you see the skipping of a generation, then that's a key that it can't be dominant, right? So there we go. So now we come down to X-linked. How can we differentiate X-linked from autosomal? Okay, so first of all, an X-linked trait could be recessive or it could be dominant, and the recessive and dominant things still apply. So what do we notice here? We notice in generation 2 that there is a skip. So that's telling us that this is recessive, okay? And so what else are we looking for? X-linked recessives are going to be more common in males. All right, so that's not definitive when you're looking here, but it is indicative. So what do we got? All of the individuals who are affected are males. That is a characteristic of X-linked recessive. Okay, it is possible that it could be autosomal, and just because of the small sample size and the random chance that every individual that was affected was a male due to random chance. But that's at least beginning to get in the right path. If you see as if you see a number of individuals and it's 50-50 males and females, that's telling you big hint that it's autosomal. So X-linked recessive, you would see mostly in males. All right. One of the things as we go to fill out here, we can take a look here at how we would do phenotypes on an X-linked recessive. If it is X-linked recessive, note that males only have the one X. So he's affected. The first individual here is affected. So what does that mean? He's got an X little a and a Y. What do we know about the mother? We know that she is got at least one dominant allele because she is unaffected. Okay, we'd have to figure out what's on the second allele. All right, and so what do we know? Every other individual that is dominant has an X big A. That means what's going on here. Let's look at the three children in generation 2. Okay, we know that this father gave an X. So this father right here that I'm referring to, he gave the X to both of his daughters. So they have an X little a from their father. Okay, they must have one. So what else do we know about it? Well, they're unaffected, which in this case is dominant. So they must have gotten a big A from their mother. Okay, and this son also got an X big A. So again, all three children had a dominant, which had to come from mother. So she's likely to be. So if we look at second allele, she's likely to be homozygous dominant. But again, there's some probability. In this case, a 1/8 possibility that was just random chance that she gave the big A all three times. So we don't know for sure. Okay, we know he has the Y. This individual right here got the Y from his father. Okay, and so how do we work out this guy? He's affected. He only gets his X chromosome from mom, so we know that this one came here. All right, so we know he got an XA from her, and he got the Y from dad. Okay, and so we can begin to figure out how these patterns work. Okay, so here's the this is again indicative if the son gets the X from the mother, she's a carrier. If her father, so if this guy right here is affected, so we see grandfather to grandson through a mother, that's another indication of a strong likelihood that it is X-linked. Right? And so that leaves here with X-linked dominant. And so when looking at X-linked dominant, we again see happening in every generation. We don't see any skips. But what's the key to X-linked dominant? It's going to be more common in females. Why is that? Let's take a look right here at individual 7. Okay, we know the Y does not carry the allele since it's X-linked, and well, he's affected. Okay, and so he must have the big A. Well, what does that mean? Every daughter, he always gives his X to his daughter, so every daughter receives the dominant affected from the father. Okay, the son's got the Y, and what do we have? Let's do the mother here in red. What did she have? Well, we know that if this is dominant, she must be X little a. X little a, so she gave an X little a to all of her kids, so all of her sons are unaffected. So actually, dominant tend to affect females, and an indication is that every female of a male that is affected will be affected themselves, and every unaffected female will only have unaffected sons.